Hi and welcome. I'm starting a new book today. I finished my board book and I just didn't want to start another one, but I wanted to do a book. And I'm hooked on Bristol smooth paper and I could not find a book with Bristol smooth paper in it. So I made my own. I took 2 sheets of my paper, cut, it's 4.5 inches tall, and folded in half. It's 4.5, so it's a 4.5 inch square each page, but each insert was 4.5 by 9, so if that makes sense. And then I just covered it with some craft stock that I can also do something with. Okay, so I'm doing my first page. I'm excited, and I'm just covering it with some old paper just to make it not white. If you saw the picture, and I'm kind of going for a grungy, maybe even a little steampunk. I'm not heavy into steampunk, but I do like some of the butterflies and things that are kind of steampunky. So, I don't know. We're gonna see where this book goes. I bought one download, and I'm just gonna see where that one download takes me before if I invest in other downloads. So I'm going to I put old paper down. I'm gonna put some vintage photo around the edges of the pages, and then I'm gonna bring that brick stencil back and kind of remove some ink. I don't do that very often, but I'm kind of giving a light touch. I'm not making sure it's covered well of the vintage photo. I don't want it really dark. So I'm just doing a light touch, and then I'm going to be using a baby wipe to remove some of the ink and leave the stencil pattern. The baby wipe I'm using isn't brand new out of the package, so it's been kind of to air for a couple hours. So it's not totally wet. And I kind of prefer that because I don't want it to remove a whole lot. I kind of want a shadow of the texture of the stencil. And of course my stencil isn't wide enough to go across, and so I just flip it over to the other side. I don't flip it. I move it over to the other side and just do some more lining it up as best I can so that the lines are the same place. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping in the background. I've got a stamp from Tim Holtz. It's called Faded Type, and that's what I'm going to be using. And I chose this little number stamp. I'm going to be kind of random. I'm using Archival Ink Pebble Beach. I like it because it's not super dark, and I'm hoping for the background to be just kind of a softer element. I'm also going to be using a stamp from Eccentric. It's kind of like if you had one of those old date stamps and a bunch of them went down the row. It's great if you're like making a or have a library card, um, little ephemera, this is great to fill in the dates. And most of my digital items are going to be in the middle, so I'm not really stamping in the middle. But I'm just taking various different ephemera that I have, digital downloads, everything but well, not everything. Most of it is digital downloads. I'll have the links in the description. I think the only thing new though is the focal image. So if you've been buying along, you might already have most of these, or use something that looks kind of the same. So I'm taking 2 tags, inverting one so it's upside down, but I'm going to be layering paper is mainly what I'm doing. This piece here is a Tim Holtz strip and collage strip. Yeah, is that right? It's one of the thin strips. And what he does is he takes some of his papers and just makes thin strips, and they're great for like inserting for different things. I don't use them enough, but I really like them. You can also make your own if you've got a bunch of paper or digital downloads. You can make your own strips. If you have some of the ideology paper, that also can be strips. The little square is, I recently purchased a square stamp or punch. Now, yeah, you can cut them and that would be just as good, but sometimes it's just easier and less time consuming if you just punch the area you want. And that is my focal image. So he's a guy that came in my little steampunk download, and it had a bunch of butterflies and flying things in it. So I thought, well, I could do that. I'm not really into the steampunk people dressed up as, I don't know. I'm not really into that. I think that looks really cute when people do it, but it's just not me. Who knows what it will be. Maybe it will be in the future. But although I do have to say, there is a couple little robots that remind me of R2D2-ish kind of thing. And I'm a big Star Wars fan. So you might see those guys because they're super cute. But I did like this, dare I call it a bee? Whatever it is, it kind of looks bee-ish. And I just thought it was super cute. So I'm going to use him. The blue is actually, my Etsy shop, I use a lot of cardstock. And so that's just a remnant, and I cut it into strips. And I thought it would be nice to add just a touch of color. So I'm starting from the back, adding some, so I can layer on top. Now, normally I would stamp that guy up because he's pretty plain, but there's a lot going to be going on top of him. I end up doing one stamp just because there's a little blank area, but I really wasn't thinking you'd see a bunch of it by the time everything was done. And sometimes plain areas, when it's a whole busy area, is good. Paper strips. I'm just kind of not sure exactly. I can't remember what he calls those. I'll have to look it up and see. I'll have everything in the description. Those are some circles that actually come that way, and I think I have a punch that's that size, so I just punch it out. But circles are fun. I like to use circles a lot. And the nice thing about layering is you can cover up edges to make them kind of not look so like you've flat cut something off. I have put vintage photo around all these edges, and you can't really see it very well there, but I wanted the little B to be slightly elevated, so I'm using my 3D dots. They're a low profile dot. I have them in my Amazon shop storefront, and I love these because they come in two different sizes. Well, the package has two different sizes in it, but they're low profile, so it elevates them a little bit, but not like so that it looks ridiculous. Sometimes they're just so thick that it just looks crazy. So I love these that they're low profile. You can get them in my Amazon storefront, and it's the same price as you would pay without the storefront. I just get a little commission off it, is all. I kind of had an idea what I was doing here, but I do get to a point where okay, that's what I've planned. Now what does it need, kind of thing. And so sometimes it may seem like, oh, you should have done that earlier. And yeah, had I planned yes, I should have done it earlier. But sometimes it's just, what are you going to do now to make it more of something that you're wanting? So I'm going to add a sentiment. This is from Tim Holtz, Small Talk, and I'm going to take creativity takes courage. And this is kind of out of my wheelhouse a little bit, so I thought it was appropriate. I did look through the snarky ones. I have a hard time using the snarky ones because I'm not very snarky. So there's probably one or two of the snarky ones gone. So I go back to my Small Talk regular, and that's where I get the creativity takes courage. I choose black because I think it needed a little black. So I'm going to add a little bit of texture paste. I'm just going to use white. You could definitely use black. But I'm still wanting it to be a little light. I don't want to take away from the focal image, so I'm just going to go white. And this is one of my favorite just random texture stencils. And so I just move it around different areas, and I'm getting squares and dots, and I'm just kind of randomly putting it in different spots that maybe just needs a little something. And if you're real careful not to like smash anything you've done a little bit, you can move that around, okay? And I usually, once my texture paste is a little older, I start adding a spritz or two of water just to kind of keep it moist. It helps me, I think, because I don't texture paste all the time. I'm just adding a little bit of scorched timber to the edge because I just think it needed to be a little dark. But it's only the immediate edge. And I think I only do, well, I do two more things actually. One is that open area right at the bee's butt. I just thought it needed a little something, so I grab eccentric stamps, and I'm just gonna put a number down there. And here I'm going to use graphite for my stamp color. And there's only one last thing I do, and that's kind of at the antlers. It just looks kind of blank right there to me. So I'm just going to take a number that is kind of in the color hue of the background. I thought about doing black, but I thought that would take away too much. I mean, the number's black, but it's just kind of a neutral tone like the background, and I think it looks good there. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun with it, and I'm gonna kind of keep this whole book on this theme, I think, but I got some final pictures coming up, If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to give me a thumbs up or a comment if you like it, and I'll see you next time.